Hello and welcome to Wisdom on Wednesday. I am here with Ellen. Thank you for joining us. Now that we are a little over a month into the school year, we know what can happen. Your school at home days can start to feel like a long to-do list.
Yes.
And you can start just checking the boxes. And we do not want you to do that. So what we want to talk about today is we want to continue our series where we walk through each of the virtues that we as a school are trying to instill in our children, the habits to support these virtues. And what we want to do is help guide you so that you can be helping to support them at home. And so we have talked through the first three theological virtues, which were faith, hope, and charity. And now we're going to be walking into the cardinal virtues. And we are beginning with prudence. So Ellen, as we've done in all the videos, would you just tell us a little bit about what exactly is prudence?
Well, the first thing I think about when I think about prudence is how dear Joanne Anderson used to guide us.
A former kindergarten teacher here at Veritas.
She would always tell the students, it's never right to do the wrong thing. It's never wrong to do the right thing. I say that to my grandkids all the time. It's one of the best definitions of prudence that I can remember, because prudence is really about knowing what is good, when to do it, and how to do it. It's that verse, Proverbs 14:15 says, the prudent man looks to where he is going. It's about thinking about it before we speak and act and considering how it affects others.
That's right. And that's so important for our kids to know and understand at all ages, right?
Exactly.
So would you tell us a few ways that we practically can help guide our children to become prudent?
Well, I think there's three ways that I want to suggest today. And the first one is that we need to teach our kids to be circumspect, to really think through the facts and the circumstances around the situations they're in carefully before they decide what to do, and to think and pray before they act. For example, when they're thinking about joining a team or quitting a team, if they think through all the facts without just relying on their current emotions, or even simple things like who to invite to a birthday party, to think through what could happen and the consequences, or how to plan for and accomplish and finish a school project, that they learn to consider the full picture before they act. It's really about having discussions around thinking this way, and I think that's one of the ways we can nurture prudence as a virtue. And along that same line is teaching our kids to think ahead. It's like they want to get an A on a science test, and so they need to plan ahead, and they need to take each day at a time and do their reading and do their assignments, rather than waiting to the last minute where they're really tempting to cheat or to take shortcuts, so that they're planning ahead. If they see that goal they want, that visionary piece that we're telling them about, and then they are thinking ahead to how to make that happen. I think forward thinking is one of the ways our kids we can all take a problem and turn it into an opportunity if we really think through it.
Yes.
So it's teaching problem solving skills.
That's right.
And really, I would say the third area would be to guide our kids to learn from their mistakes. Because if we let consequences teach, if they fail to study for a test, they may get a bad grade. If they're rude with friends, they may lose their friends. If they fail to listen in class, they may wind up with a consequence. And how our school is applying those consequences, the purpose of this is getting our kids to learn from their mistakes and seeing mistakes as a learning opportunity.
Yes.
So.
And one thing I like about all three of these points is we have opportunities in our own lives to model this for our children.
Right.
We have opportunities to bring them into conversations when we're making decisions, where we're thinking, where we're planning ahead, where we've learned from our own mistakes. So don't shy away from having those conversations when you're learning and growing yourselves.
Right. And when your kids are at home, if they fail to do chores, they may lose privileges. And actually, I think our two kids were separated in class this week.
For chatting too much. Good example of a consequence.
Yes, because they do like to talk together. Those are our second graders. They're both very chatty children, and they've learned they can't sit by each other. So So there are things that get in the way of prudence.
That's right.
One of them is impulsivity, and this happens when we or our children act on our feelings. And I love the fact that God made us into emotional beings, and we have feelings, and they're valuable, but they're not reliable, and we need to learn to think through those feelings, because just because we feel something doesn't mean we should act on it, because that's what leads to impulsivity. So practicing the habit of asking yourself if what you're going to say or do is right and good. I think that's a really important thing to realize that can get in the way of prudence. And oh my goodness, thoughtlessness. A standard answer one of my grandkids will give me when I said, okay, tell me what you were thinking when you did this. And they'll say, I didn't think. I just didn't think. And okay, that's the point. Prudence is about thinking and about discerning to think about what we're thinking about and making sure that we are mindful of that.
Right.
And I want to throw in a third one, which at first mention may not sound like it has anything to do with prudence, but I do think that unforgiveness gets in the way of prudence, because when we hold on to bitterness and hurts and unforgiveness, we put our mind in a direction toward ourselves and on our own hurts, and that takes us on the wrong path where we're not thinking about what's right and good and following the commands of Jesus to forgive. So those are the things that can get in the way of it.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Ellen, for giving us the tips. And as just a reminder and a wrap up, because everything we all needed to learn, we learned in kindergarten. As Joan Anderson said, it is never right to do the wrong thing, and it is never wrong to do the right thing. Thank you for joining us as we talked about prudence.